All right, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining again this week. This week I'm going to talk about selling add-on services in your landscape business. So I'm going to kind of jump in and discuss the ins and outs of selling add-on services. Think of a few ways to maybe sort of systemize this, make it a little bit more of an ongoing thing in your business. And I'm just going to kind of give some tips and tricks on how to systemize it, train your staff, and make it part of your day-to-day business. So as always, feel free to throw your name and where you're from up in the chat. Any questions as we go, I'll try to keep an eye on those questions and cover those as we get through this week's mastermind presentation. Okay, so add-on services, we're going to get started here. Just kind of what are they? Ultimately, sometimes people call these enhancements. Sometimes they call them add-ons or extra services. In any case, really what we're doing here is just trying to find ways to increase the revenue that we're getting from existing customers. So that's really it in a nutshell. So I think whether it's a design build customer or a commercial maintenance customer or residential maintenance customer, or anything in between, there's usually an opportunity to sell them some other services that they more than likely need, they may not know they need, or they may not know that you offer them. And so I think getting really specific with having a program and really building something out so that you have a standardized way of doing business, particularly as it pertains to add-on services or all of your services put together, it just makes sense, because I think oftentimes we get really busy and we're always trying to sell more and more customers and attract new customers when we might, be better off just focusing on the customers we have and selling them more, keeping them happier, and ultimately really finding ways to increase revenue without having to go and find a whole new group of customers. So a few examples just to kind of kick this off. As a design build company, it could be always selling landscape maintenance as you finish your projects. And one thing that works really well here is if you do extended warranty coverage as an option, and they get that if they take your maintenance packages. It does a few things, I think, for you, but it does many things for them as well. I mean, ultimately, when we finish up a project, as we all know, it's just getting started. The plants have to grow, the garden has to sort of come to life, and I think it's a great add-on to sell maintenance for many reasons. But it also allows you to keep your eye on the plants and maintain things throughout the warranty period to prevent some unneeded expenses. A couple other things that I've heard of many contractors starting to do, something as simple as garage finishing and organization upgrades. This is one where oftentimes companies who are working in seasonal environments and can't work outside in the winter are actually using garage finishing and organization upgrades as winter work for their crews, but also just sort of staying in touch with the customers and getting more revenue out of each customer that you work so hard to get. On the maintenance side, it could be, offering seasonal services, could be lawn specific. These could be things that are going to enhance the lawn itself, like aeration, irrigation, turf management, or pest control. Could be tree specific packages, things that you put out annually for pruning, shaping, spraying trees. Could be winter programs, or just overall enhancement of the property. Could be something really specific like outdoor kitchens, and you've got a package or a template of an outdoor kitchen that you can kind of send to all of your maintenance accounts in residential and offer them that service. There's just many things that you can do to really stimulate a lot more extra revenue from within these current customers, particularly on this enhancement piece. It could be outdoor lighting and sound is an excellent one. I'm seeing some really great companies do some big things there with setting up demo kits for lighting and sound. Could be upgrading the planting. There's a great revenue and great profit in planting, as we all know, and just having seasonal upgrade plans, or putting together offers for more planting, actually getting out and spending some time with customers and filling in the blanks on their property with them. So the big benefits, kind of goes without saying. The big benefits here are increased revenue, increased profit, but we have to really be mindful of the fact that there's an incredible amount of customer loyalty that comes from just spending more time with customers. So your retention rates are going to go way up. Your revenue is going to go way up. And a byproduct of that is you're able to pay higher wages for your staff, and I think much better bonus opportunities for staff, particularly in departments like landscape maintenance, where they've got a fixed route with kind of somewhat fixed revenue. And oftentimes that kind of leads to a little bit of a sort of mundane mindset when it comes to the work. And I think when your maintenance crews get an opportunity to get involved in these enhancements, whether it's mulching programs or extra planting or identifying weak spots on the property, things that need repair, for example, and knowing that they have an opportunity to increase the revenue that their crew produces and then have an impact on how much they can be paid as a result, along with, potentially unlocking bonuses. I think there's a lot of benefit from kind of creating a culture around add-on services and expansion revenue. For the customer, we definitely know that the customers want our services. I think most landscapers go out and they sell once and then they don't keep selling. And I think as a result, customers end up kind of not feeling the love. If you're not talking to them, if you're not communicating with them, they're naturally going to start to think that you're too busy to deal with them, or you don't do those services. And I think when you actually connect more with the customers, explain the offers that you have, the opportunities that they have to take on more services or some new enhancements to the property, I think ultimately they end up enjoying the property more. They understand all of the services that you have available, and I think they just feel a little bit more cared for. So getting really good at selling add-ons can actually end up being, a major component of your customer care strategy, in that it gives us an opportunity to reach out and talk to them, offer them something. And if they opt out, that's completely fine. But I think the act of just simply making contact, letting them know that you could do a little bit more to make the property look a little bit better, in itself just kind of changes the dynamic of what most people are getting from their landscape service companies. So in order to manage this well, I really think that there needs to be a view, at least, on what the sales funnel looks like and what we're trying to achieve, where these deals are coming from, and really ultimately why it's important to focus on this as a company. So I think every landscape company should develop their own little version of this. And I think there should be a goal. As I, kind of always say, we're not going to do things without knowing what goal we're serving. And so here, ultimately, this add-on sales funnel, the goal or the outcome that we're expecting is really to double the average customer value with add-on sales. And so that could be for your residential maintenance account, for example. And it's not uncommon to see companies who have managed to do this. So with your recurring list of customers, if you're out there really selling, if you're taking advantage of add-on maintenance services, enhancement sales, improvements to the property, it's not uncommon to actually double the recurring maintenance revenue with all of the add-on revenue. So certainly some reason to kind of really focus on doing this in your business. So, identifying where these leads are going to come from or how we're going to engage these leads a little bit further is pretty important. Clearly, they're already customers, but we have to kind of look at this opportunity with these existing customers as being something that's out there that we have to kind of capture, almost like a lead. So it's not a lead in the sense that it's a customer, but we need to kind of identify the opportunities and then pull them through our funnel in a way where it turns into revenue. So a couple of ideas here on the left, and obviously every company needs to kind of focus and create their own here, but really what we're trying to do is find opportunities by engaging with our customers. So that could be a customer webinar about a certain topic. You know, in the spring, you could hold some information sessions very specific to outdoor kitchens or outdoor lighting and sound or swimming pool maintenance or turf care. And when you kind of give these customer webinars, you can, you know, obviously invite them to the events, but even if they don't attend, you could just record them and then send them out to these customers after the fact as part of your monthly newsletters. You could also upload these to YouTube or cut them up into social media content. But ultimately, what we're trying to do here is build an education funnel so that your customers understand what you do and how these services are going to ultimately impact their property. When you create this type of content, I think it's going to be really valuable for uploading to your website, your blogs, any other microsites that you might be creating specific to some products or services that you might be adding on. And then I think really getting focused on taking your existing customer list and retargeting them using your paid advertising efforts on Google and social media will also make a big difference. So obviously we're always out there casting a wide net to get new business, and hopefully you're using some paid Google and social ads because they do work quite well. But also putting in your customers' info into those lead lists or into those targeted lists allows your customers to kind of continue hearing from you and seeing what you've got out there as well. And so I think for these seasonal campaigns, it's a great way to get in front of them in more ways than one. So direct mail, I think, works incredibly well here. Again, this ideally should be in a little bit more of a personalized fashion. I think with them already being customers, it's not so much sending flyers around as it is actually sending offer letters, sending email, really trying to capture their attention with a combination of direct mail, email, text, outbound phone calls to get a hold of the customers, let them know what you've got available, and just try to book meetings. Ultimately, we're trying to get in front of our customers more often. Another technique that I've heard some customers have really good outcomes with would be customer appreciation events. Like this could be a golf tournament, you know, for your best customers. You know, maybe you're going to invite 30 or 40 of your best customers out for an event. Could also be a garden tour. If you've got 6 to 10 incredible projects that you'd like to kind of show off to your customer base, you could create your own garden tour. You could film it, use that for all kinds of other content that could be used throughout the year, you know, on the website, in your newsletters, and many other places. So I think how you capture the attention and getting a little bit more creative is going to have a big impact on just really how engaged your customers end up getting in terms of bringing new opportunities forward here for these expansion sales. So as always, we want to kind of pull them through the funnel. And if you think about it, we have to capture attention from our customers and turn those into opportunities. And then what we're going to do is we're going to kind of run them through the funnel on the right here, like any other sale. We want to qualify, make sure that what we're selling them is really what they want. Ultimately, we need to do some fact finding to really uncover what their needs are. And then we're going to educate and put out proposals and try to close some new business. So identifying the opportunities for add-ons, this is where I think most landscapers are probably just not spending enough time. And this happens naturally, as you can imagine. We all get busy. And usually the best opportunities or the best times to sell add-ons are when we're already overwhelmed. We're incredibly busy and we just don't have time to go out and meet with every customer in the moment. And I think that in itself tells us something. It tells us that we need to create a system to do this in a little bit more of a proactive way during the off season, so that during the busy season, we're almost kind of selling without having to put in all of the effort. And so, there's a few things I'm going to share here today that I think make this a little bit more automated in the future. But obviously, we're here in the peak season and not all of the pre-work can be done. So I'll try to weave in some ideas, for both in the moment selling and then maybe some more systematic selling, so that you can kind of make this happen a little bit more automatically in the future. So the first thing I'd recommend are pre-season renewal meetings. So this is actually getting out there and spending time with your customers on their properties, at the very worst, at least on Zoom, just to connect, to kind of go through the renewal for the coming year. And then another big step would be to really try to schedule mid-season health checks with your customers to really make sure that you get a chance to meet with them on site a few months in, 2 to 3 months into the season, kind of take a look at how things are shaping up. Again, just a great opportunity to really do an assessment of the property, ask meaningful questions, figure out what's important to them, and then really try to come up with a little bit more tailored approach to putting some proposals out for some customizations to the property, enhancements, upgrades, or even just more maintenance services. As I said earlier, it could be the lawn, could be the trees. But if you're seeing some pain points on the property and you're hearing what means something to them, it becomes much easier. And so the preseason meeting and the mid-season health check give you all of the insight to know what to sell. And so ultimately, I think systemizing that is key. We have to have these meetings, which means we need a system of booking the meeting. So really utilizing email, text, outbound phone calls, newsletters as opportunities to book more meetings. We really definitely just want to spend time with customers if we hope to find out what they need and uncover these opportunities more blatantly. Now, seasonal opportunities, I think, kind of give us something to talk to them about. And so creating a bit of a campaign for spring, summer, fall, winter, I think these campaigns can be really valuable. We can use them in email and newsletters, phone calls, could even be leave behinds that the crew are doing, could be notes that are being added to invoices, many different opportunities. But here what we're trying to do is put together programs for spring, summer, and fall that allow them to kind of understand that we have these extra services, but also give us that opportunity to speak to them about something. And it may not be specifically what they want every time, but at least they're hearing from us and they're getting the feeling that we've got more to offer. And I think, using the foundational ones, things like a mulching program, could be maybe you'd like to get into property decor with furnishings, urns, seasonal color. Could be in the summer, it could be like a program specific to lighting and sound, where we're going to actually create demo kits and go set up 5 or 6 lights and 3 or 4 speakers so that customers can actually see or hear what their property could look like and sound like with a system like that. In the fall, it could definitely be seasonal color, holiday decor, holiday lighting. All of these different things obviously need to be talked about. And in most companies, they don't have a really well-planned program that includes some email and some website pages and some outbound phone calls and conversations and leave behinds to kind of surface these opportunities. And so I think really just focusing on creating a system to build the demand or create that desire in your customers is kind of key. So I think a few big things, need to happen in most companies. First, we create the program to drive that demand, but then I think we also have to practice and get good at actually having these conversations. And that includes kind of everybody in the company. So ultimately, what we want to do is design a system that we use to sell this work. And again, that's our communication strategy, which I think needs to clarify how we want to meet with these customers, how often we want to meet. And then I think we want to create some demand using different techniques to actually let the customers see what it is that we're offering and when we're offering them. So I think monthly newsletters are a great way to do that. Not every customer is going to always read the monthly newsletter, but I do believe that when you embed that into your ongoing cadence, customers tend to start to reopen those newsletters more when you are talking about the health of their lawn, or when you're talking about seasonal maintenance needs, more like an update or a health check of the property. I think there's definitely a lot of ways to get the customers to kind of really look closely at that. And then I think when you describe your seasonal offers, what people should be doing with the property right now, what they could be doing, spotlight a few employees, talk about any community service programs that your company's involved with, how you're kind of giving back to the community. And then ultimately just kind of educating customers with the key things that they need to know about their garden and what they should be doing to be proactive or enhance the property. Definitely, I think one of the big things that most landscapers kind of miss is really being proactive in the way that they renew contracts. I think annual renewals are kind of looked at as like this necessary thing instead of a huge opportunity. And in most companies, the opportunity is there during, what is usually a quieter time of year. Like if we're renewing these contracts in quarter one, January through March, there's a big opportunity to spend more time with customers doing a lot more pre-sales and really building the funnel and building out the pipeline for this year's work when you're very quiet overall. And I think a lot of companies just want to kind of hit send and renew their business, or, in some cases just auto renew. And yes, that's easier, but I think it really eliminates this opportunity that we're talking about here today. I think getting out there and either meeting in person, or as I said, at the very least, book a Zoom meeting, spend time with customers, explain your packages, explain all of the options, and then really take the time to explain the importance of the options, like why they might want to take your turf package or your tree package or your winter maintenance package. Because if you don't meet with them and you just kind of put that as a line item on a proposal, they don't see the value quite the same way. And I think that's the importance of really getting good at presenting these add-ons. Obviously we need to have a sales pitch developed for each of these add-ons, and we want to be very confident when we're selling add-ons to be able to highlight the return on the investment so that our customers understand what that looks like. We want to make sure that we've got really strong sales tools, pictures, data, statistics to kind of reinforce the importance. So again, when we put out proposals, we should make sure that within the proposal, we're describing the work, but we always want to kind of highlight the benefit statements of that work, I think, alongside the proposal. So where possible, providing demos or a supporting portfolio to kind of drive more desire. This one definitely really makes a big difference. One thing that I know works incredibly well is on your weekly maintenance visits to let the field staff leave some leave behinds in the mailbox, just letting them know that you've got an upcoming mulching program. But make sure that that package is, full of before and after pictures of mulch, and let them know just what an impact it's going to have on their house. And I think when they see that, you're a lot more likely to get a call or get a booking than if you're not talking to them at all. And so it's really just systemizing these things so that we've got really good supporting documents and really good process to make sure these things actually happen. And then I think, preparing your sales team, preparing the people in the field with answers and help to really just have better conversations with customers. Here, what we want to do is make sure that when a customer doesn't want to buy mulch or doesn't want to buy a turf package, that we just have a team that understands how to handle that objection. And ultimately, we're not going to sell everybody everything that we know they need, but we just want to make sure that our team is trained to confidently explain to customers why these services are offered, what the purpose is, what the long-term value is, and I think what the return ultimately is on the investment for them. And if they're not interested at all, no problem at all, we can kind of move on. But just imagine, how often do you have customers who state their objection and don't even really get a good explanation as to why this would actually be a good investment for them? And I think that happens more often than not. And I think it's just a result of, companies not really taking time to train their staff with a confident way of discussing objections and making sure that the value is heard loud and clear. So again, I think one other major strategy, first we've got to be able to communicate the fact that we've got these incredible add-on services that are much needed, but we have to be able to price them in a way where they're actually attractive. Now, what I really believe is best practice is offering packages when you're renewing that kind of do the selling for you, in the sense that if you're pricing your job over the winter or your recurring maintenance accounts over the winter, that's the best time to offer these bundles. And so I think add-on bundles within your annual maintenance renewals are the best and easiest way to kind of pre-sell this. Now, it doesn't have to drive up your maintenance contract value explicitly. I think a lot of times contractors are nervous to bundle all of this because it makes your price so expensive that, other people appear cheaper and you lose your contracts. What I suggest is kind of the opposite. Keep your base monthly competitive and then offer these as bundles so that people see the value and they appreciate that they can have all of this service with one provider rather than having 3 or 4 different providers. And so I think what ends up happening is it still appears competitive for your core service, but it becomes easier for them to do business. And so offering all the other services, either per hour, per unit, per service, and just simply getting them to check these off as add-ons that they'd like to have, I think are kind of the key component here to making it easy to do business. And then ultimately, we have to close this business. And I think, again, with the renewals, it's much easier because we are asking them to renew and they're letting us know that they're renewing, which makes it super easy. When you're using the portal, that obviously makes it super easy because they can pay by credit card or they can click to pay from the invoice. But I think what we really want to do here is make sure that we get the quote out in front of them, get it approved, and make it easy for them to do business in a way where they don't have to have another meeting for us to go and meet and collect a payment or anything like that. We just want to kind of take their time once to uncover the needs, and then we want to kind of make the close more or less automatic. And we can do this very easily by embedding a link to the portal or click-to-pay invoicing. Wherever possible, I think in your website, in your social media, in email, even in printed direct mail pieces, try to get as many case studies of other add-on sales, like examples of customers who have decided to add an outdoor kitchen, or before and afters of your turf package, or pruning, or mulching. I think really getting really strong at using case studies, pictures in any of these campaigns really drives a big outcome. And I just think most companies are not spending enough time really building out a marketing campaign to drive these add-on sales. And I think that's why so many companies just kind of skip this step, and they're not really strong at cross sales. And it's kind of a shame, because typically this is the highest profit margin work in your business. You're selling to people that are already comfortable with you. They already trust you, so it's easier to sell. And obviously your crews are already going there regularly, so it becomes very profitable in most cases. So a couple other quick tools to remember: role play exercises. Once you've got your staff up to speed in terms of what you're going to offer, then what you really want to do is just make sure that you've done some training. Whether it's the person answering the phone for the first call in, or whether it's a sales team person or even a crew person, I think they just need to understand what the offers are that you've got in place, what those services include, what the benefits are of those services, how to sell them, how to handle those objections. And this only happens with practice. So definitely taking some time to work with your team and making sure that they're clear on what your offers are has a huge impact on this program and the execution. So developing tools and resources is definitely a place to start. I think getting really good pictures of your crews out doing the work, even getting as much video as possible, will help. Creating supporting website pages, direct mail pieces, and then of course making sure that you're using your CRM to ultimately capture as much information and data on each customer as you can, and then really crafting offers that are specific to those needs on an ongoing basis. Again, thanks for joining this week. I'll take some questions here now about this topic. And next week we're going to have Tommy Cole is going to be joining us, and we're going to be talking about creating customers for life. So we're going to go deep into why it's so important to really develop such strong relationships with your customers. It's a great sort of add-on to this week's discussion for sure. But Tommy is always full of great ideas. He's got a ton of insight. He works with landscapers every day, coaching and facilitating peer groups. And he's got a lot of great ideas on this topic specifically. So I thought he'd be a great person to bring in as a special guest. So hopefully it can make it next week. I'll take some questions here now if anybody has any. And if not, it seems quiet. Not a lot of questions this week. If we don't have any questions, I'll sign off and call it. It looks like we might have one coming. As always, we're just like every business. We're always looking for reviews. So if you enjoyed today's event, or if you're enjoying the software, please feel free to give us a Google review at your convenience. That's always very helpful for sure. And you can kind of follow me along for daily content on LinkedIn and Instagram, always posting some ideas and tips and tricks there each day. I usually try to record some other meetings I've had with other contractors and whatnot, and put some of that up, and ideas that come in each day from Q&A over social media, I usually try to share with the audience as well. So please follow me there. And it doesn't look like there's any questions. So thank you all for joining this week. And we'll see you again next week.